Welcome back to Les Schwab Tire Center's Outdoor GPS. It's time for Owin's Field Report, sponsored by Les Schwab Tire Centers.
Now, before we get to okay, I guess we're already there. But before we get to my actual report for this week, obviously things have changed quickly, right? You got a lot of rain that's come into the area, which is excellent, and we need more. I mean, like a lot more. And it looks like we might be getting a little bit more going through this upcoming week. We'll find out from Peyton Major here in just a little bit how much it's actually going to be. But it's been all good things. This past week, duck season was closed. We had our split. It reopened on Thursday. And rushing through that was our bag for Thursday. Actually had a really good day to get back out there when it reopened. And 2 limits, mixed bag, but certainly a lot more mallards that were around. Not seeing a lot of pintail, at least in the area that we're spending our time, which I find really, really interesting. Typically this time of year or early season, it is lots of teal. Well, we don't shoot teal typically, at least November on. I'll put it that way. You know, usually it's lots of teal and spoonies and pintail, right? Well, it just doesn't seem like they've shown up where I'm spending my time. There are other areas that have been a little bit busier with pintails around. But overall, what I noticed out of scouting this week, and then of course being out hunting, there are certainly more birds in the area than there were just a week ago. So that could be because there's been some weather that's up north. Could be birds coming from the west and the east. It's difficult to say, but it's all positive things. I know a lot of folks aren't really chasing ducks yet because we are hunting big game, but for good reason. There are some options that are out there, and I had to at least get one. Oh, with my Hatchery and Wild Coexist hat on too as well. But great day. Made it kind of a quick limit. We shot well, and that day, you know, it being Thursday, had been closed for a few days. They were listening. Anytime that you can talk to mallards and actually have them do what you tell them to do is pretty cool. At least that's my theory on it. Also, though, you can't overlook Ryan. My producer loves to go fishing. Him and his father have been fishing, obviously, since he was a little kid, right? They were down in, where were you again? Was it Crane? Crane Prairie. They got some fish that they were able to retain, and there's a nice one. And he's even got his Hatchery Wild hat on with a beautiful background. That's just a great photo. The way that you crop that out, man, that's a perfect one. That's one that you need to put on the wall. Like I asked earlier, do people still do that? I mean, we do. But very cool. How was it overall? And I know that nobody can hear you, but it was good. They had lots of bites, and they were able to keep 3. They can only keep clipped fish, so keep that in mind. So very cool, Ryan. Congrats on that. Was there a bunch of people that were fishing? A lot of people on boats. There you go. At least you have another option, another thing that you can do outside of chasing salmon along the coast, which if I were to give you any reports there, things have changed, although I do know of one day on one of the tributaries that was ridiculous for Chinook. I would expect that might continue through November if water conditions hold out. Okay, let's take a look at river levels real fast, give you an idea what's going on out there. At the falls at Oregon City, again, the reason why we always keep this in year-round, really, but in particular, now going into the end of 2025 and, of course, into 2026, is that this is going to determine everything below it, right? If you're going to be messing around either on the Willamette, if you're going to be duck hunting up above or whatever it might be, certainly relevant, and it's going to tell you what's going on. They are forecasting a bounce, which is promising for a number of different things, but at the very least for folks that are trying to target late silvers now in some of the tributaries. Now, this is nice. Look at that. The Columbia River, Vancouver came back. Sweet. This one's been driving me nuts because this is one of the ones I look at constantly for like literally a number of different reasons this time of year. But yeah, very, very low water out there. Even on the high tide, I'd call it nothing. But it is forecasted to make a bounce. So this rain that we've got coming this week is going to change things a little bit. And based on that number, you would assume that that means that there's a bunch of rain coming down on the east side as well. Coming down the Columbia. Let's move upriver. Let's take a look at Bonneville. Same thing. At least they have increased their flows. Nothing too dramatic. They're great levels, though. I mean, if you're going to be up there, that's a pretty good level. My home river, the Clack, Fort. I hope. Yeah, like I said, late silvers. And when they do get in there, they're going to fly. I don't care what the story is. They're going to fly through that system. But if you get yourself positioned right, that could be very interesting. North Coast. Big bounce, moving our way down south. You'll see the Slet, same thing. So everything has got an expected bounce coming up. A little bit of a trough there. First couple of days or middle of the week, we'll be checking in with Peyton here to find out what those conditions might actually look like. But this is all good stuff. Now we're talking real freshets, real cleaning out of some of the rivers, either be leaves or debris, whatever it might be with these kind of bounces. Much like we talked about with the guys last week, it could be a little treacherous for a handful of days, but then clear out. So this is all good stuff, and I believe that is the last one. So there you go. Gives you an idea what those river levels are going to do. And if you're going to be chasing some fish around, make sure you pay attention to them because you'll be more effective. Procure. Don't forget to send Jason at procure.com an email. Enter yourself in to win each week, which is done every Monday morning. The winner is contacted every single Monday because it is a real thing. Anyway, let's go ahead and check in with Peyton Major and find out what this... For a meteorologist, do you like this time of year when things really change and get active, or has it just become very difficult?
It usually actually gets a little easier because I think the rain is more consistent. We know it's coming.
Yeah, okay.
Rather than, in the summer, it's like, it might rain, it may not. But I will say the winter is no fun. Unpopular opinion, but yeah, Mark and I don't like forecasting snow. It's not fun for us. Okay, here's our rain yesterday. If you were in Salem, it was a great Halloween for you, but up in the metro, also especially northwestern Oregon, it was wet. I mean, Tillamook over an inch, same with Astoria, and this is just since midnight. I mean, Tillamook is now approaching almost 3 inches of rain in about 15, 16 hours here, so that's crazy. Half an inch in Portland so far today. Here's our wind as we speak, looking at gusts near 40 in Newport, same with up to Astoria. This is a new gust that just came in, 51 miles per hour. Locally, we're still looking around 20 to 30 in the Central Valleys up to the metro. And in Central Oregon, there is a wind advisory until noon today because of those stronger gusts. So hour by hour, I think we will actually dry out this evening and afternoon. It's going to be a slow process, most likely from northwest to southeast. But I think noon will be the cutoff time for the metro area. We'll see improvements as we go through the day. And that front's going to continue to move east, which means that Sunday is going to be dry. It gives a nice kind of 50-50 weekend here. You'll have plenty of time to take down that Halloween decorations or whatever you got to do for your Sunday. Okay, so we have a freeway of wet weather. Basically, the jet stream is south. It's focused on the Pacific Northwest, and it's going to stay there for several days. And so when we look at next week, yeah, it's going to be wet. I think more specifically, it'll be real wet Wednesday onward. This is the first system here. It's actually a moderate strength atmospheric river, and we have some more, obviously, rounds coming Thursday, Friday, into next weekend. So our rain forecast for now does ramp up the second half of the week. I think that's subject to change just depending on the strength. But if you had to really watch any specific time this week, I think it'd be somewhere between that Wednesday, Thursday time frame. I don't see any storm possibilities with this, but it will bring a real strong gusty south wind. This is one of our new AI models. It's overdoing it, I think, a lot, but still we'll get some stronger coastal gusts around the coast and also inland. Same with Thursday. I do think also temperatures unchanged, but in the 50s for the overnight lows as we get toward the second half of the week because of the moisture. But yeah, Owen, we get an extra hour of sleep tonight. Don't forget. Turn your clocks back an hour. That's
a very good reminder for a lot of us. Trust me, we forget that kind of stuff all the time. Yep. As always, Peyton, thank you. We love that forecast.
Of course.
We love that forecast. All right, real quickly, let's go ahead and get Tim's phone call in. He's from Gresham. And if we can, we're going to try to squeak Randy's in there real quickly. But Tim, quickly for everyone, you have a question about sturgeon retention. What's up?
Yes. So I have a question about sturgeon retention on both the Columbia River. When and where could I catch and keep sturgeon above Cascade Locks, I believe, and between Cascade Locks and the river?
Okay, yeah, so the only, other than the estuary, which hasn't been open for retention for a long time, and I wouldn't assume that it will either, but for a while, you never know with what they decide to do. The only retention fishery is going to be above Bonneville, and that's the 1st of January, typically. So after the New Year's Day, that's when that fishery opens, and it generally only lasts a handful of days, depending on conditions, right? If the conditions...
And the quota.
Say that again?
And the quota.
And, of course, the quota. So, I mean, if the conditions are really good for fishing, meaning the wind isn't that bad and the temperature isn't that cold in the river itself, that quota is going to get gobbled up right away. If that's not the case, then it does drag out a little bit longer. But generally, it's just the 1st of January until that quota is met. Other than that, there isn't any retention on the Columbia, and there won't be any on the Willamette either at all. So Other than
Yeah,
that,
was
though.
my next question.
Sure, go ahead.
When will I ever be able to fish on the Willamette?
Say that again, I'm sorry.
When will I ever be able to fish on the Willamette for sturgeon?
Well, you can fish for them now as far as just catch and release sturgeon. You won't be able to retain any, but at the very least, this is absolutely fantastic timing for really good sturgeon fishing. I mean, you're pulling on fish, having fun, and releasing them. Obviously, they're an extremely hardy fish, especially in these conditions with water temperatures the way that they are. Just a great catch and release fishery. Very underutilized, but a really, really good fishery. Tim, I hope it helps in some way, my friend. Good luck to you if you get out there and take some photos. If you do, should we try to get Randy in real quick? Let's go ahead and talk to Randy. Randy is from Columbia County. He's got a question about duck hunting. Randy, what's going on, my friend? Randy, can you still hear me?
Hello? I got a sports pack, and I got a shotgun, and so I really never duck hunted. I live in Columbia County. There's lots of places along the Columbia River I think a guy could hunt. I don't have a boat, though, so I was wondering, where would you start? Like, if you just want to go out and, you know, you have some time, you want to go out and try to get a duck, what would you suggest?
Well, you live in a really good part of the world for that. I mean, you got most of that around that area is you know, not unfortunately. I mean, everybody would love to be a private property owner, right? I'm just jealous. But a lot of that's locked up in private land, although that there are some public access places that you can go. Without a boat, it does make it a little bit more difficult. So best piece of information I can give you on just trying to get started in that area, and oddly enough, and I admit this ahead of time, it's ODFW's website. They have a tremendous source of information there on public land access, where you can and cannot go to go target ducks and geese, and for that matter, any species. So it is a good starting point on how you can kind of make a plan on the areas that you want to spend your time. And again, it's going to be all about access, right? The most important thing, it doesn't matter if you're brand new to duck hunting or been doing it for 100 years, the most important thing is the location. That is the #1 rule in duck hunting, is location, okay? So more time spent scouting and trying to find them in the areas that you're able to hunt, that's more important than a lot of things. Outside of that, you know, you want to get yourself some decoys. You want to kind of get yourself familiar with the duck call and understanding of what it is that you want to do when you were able actually to get to that spot. It's a very difficult sport to get into, but once you're kind of, you know, past that initial phase, it's the most addicting sport I've ever participated in. Thank goodness that started like 35 some odd years ago now. But it's certainly something that if you do get that first initial step in where you kind of get a grasp of what it takes to be successful, it's a ton of fun, and it's really one of those things that you just don't end up stopping. But that's the hardest step, is to get going. And along with that, though, where you live, you know, knocking on doors with some of the folks that own the property out there, you being a resident in particular, that kind of gives you a little bit of heads up, as opposed to some clown like myself from Oregon City knocking on their door. If you know, they're a little bit more susceptible to folks that are locals to give access, and sometimes that can help out as well. But there are some websites out there, local websites that you can check out that can also give you a little bit of insight, and you might even be able to meet some folks there where you can go out and go hunting with them. So it just takes a little bit of effort, but I will admit, it's not like going fishing. It's a very, you know, and again, that falls back to the #1 rule, which is location. Other than that, then you got to fill in all the other gaps. So again, not to deter you in any way. Once you get into it, though, it's well worth it, but it is difficult to get to that point. Sir, I hope it helps out in some way. Good luck when you get out there, and just be as safe as you can, and always shoot them where they're going, not where they were. Best advice I can give you. All right, we'll be back in just a little bit with Chris Bertopoulos and Don New with Hatchery and Wild.
Outdoor GPS is brought to you by Hawken Fishing, perfection in fishing gear, Ocean and the Saltwater Sport Fishing Show, and by Haxton's Canvas and Upholstery, the trusted name of the Pacific Northwest.